So I had the opportunity to do an internship with an organization called Black Women for Wellness. And they're based in South Los Angeles, all about the health, well-being of Black women and girls. And it was really they've been working with Black women and Black salon workers around potentially toxic chemicals, impacts to Black women's health, from a reproductive justice, environmental justice framework. And that was sort of my first foray into what has now been 6 years of research into the products that we use, particularly cosmetic products, how that impacts our health, and also who are the most vulnerable.
Welcome to the Black and Green Podcast. It's your go-to place to find the latest high-quality, all-natural products created by Black artisans. Hosted by yours truly, Dr. Kristian H, the founder of Black and Green. We'll discuss all things health, wellness, self-care, and of course, self-love. This podcast features a refreshing lineup of guests, from entrepreneurs and artisans to holistic lifestylists and clean beauty experts, and a plethora of other innovators within the wellness industry. Join me as we learn from the best of the best. Welcome back to the Black and Green Podcast. We're so excited to have you guys joining us. Today we have an amazing special guest. She is not one of our artisans. She is Teni. She's a PhD candidate at UCLA in environmental science, and she's going to break down everything we need to know about the toxins that are building up in our personal care products. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, very excited to speak with you.
So you have to tell the story about how we connected in the very first place.
Yeah, so I've been a long time follower of Black and Green. Always love to see all the various artisans. And, I was like, I should just reach out to her and see if it would be great to just connect, but also share a little bit about my research and sort of these implications of personal care products when it comes to Black women and when it comes to Black salon workers. So just very excited to be able to connect after just being a longtime follower of Black and Green.
Yeah, thank you. I just love this, shoot your shot. You just never know. I remember when I was an undergrad, I had just read Medical Apartheid, and I loved the book. And I sent her an email, and she responded back, and she's like, well, what do you have in mind? And I had nothing in mind. I was like, oh my God, I didn't think you were going to email me back. I don't know what to say now.
Exactly. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about your research and kind of what got you interested in it.
Yes, so my background is in industrial hygiene, which is sort of the anticipation, recognition, evaluation, and control of workplace hazards. I got my bachelor's in health sciences from California State University, San Bernardino, and at that moment, I was really into worker health, really into thinking about what you do at work and how that impacts your health and your well-being. I started working for a medical manufacturing plant, working with women who were literally hand sewing heart valves that would go into surgery. Decided to get my master's at UCLA in environmental health sciences. And it was really there I started to learn about what environmental justice was, what this intersection of the products that we use, our health, and workers. So I had the opportunity to do an internship with an organization called Black Women for Wellness. And they're based in South Los Angeles, all about the health, well-being of Black women and girls. And it was really they've been working with Black women and Black salon workers around potentially toxic chemicals, impacts to Black women's health, from a reproductive justice, environmental justice framework. And that was sort of my first foray into what has now been 6 years of research into the products that we use, particularly cosmetic products, how that impacts our health, and also who are the most vulnerable. Right. So looking at particularly women, we use these products a lot more. Women of reproductive age, Black women use these use cosmetics more than almost any other ethnicity. We make up 80% of the buyers in ethnic beauty care, and who are the even most vulnerable workers who are working with these products on a daily basis.
That's awesome. It's interesting because I don't often think of Black women being represented in the space of environmental science and kind of environmental justice. How did you get interested in that space in the first place? And how did you recognize that this was one of our issues too?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of an interesting one too, because I got a bachelor's in environmental health sciences, and no one had ever really talked about environmental justice. It wasn't until I came to Los Angeles and really started to kind of learn a little bit more about what environmental justice is. And I was just incredibly fortunate to have been placed at Black Women for Wellness. I ended up being there for close to 3 years. And then managing their environmental justice research and policy program. And through that work, I met some amazing Black women advocates around the environmental space. Unfortunately, when we do think about the environment, environmental health, you don't necessarily think about Black people being represented. And I think it's just so incredibly important that we need to be at these spaces when we look at who is the most impacted by a number of environmental issues, be it living near freeways or like product use, or having some of the more I would say dangerous jobs. You find that it is people of color, and here in Los Angeles, Black and Latino folks, right? And so if you don't have people who look like you that are going to advocate for you, and especially in places like I go to Sacramento or DC, where sometimes they're like, oh, we didn't know Black people cared about the environment. And it's like, yes, we do. It's just we're not necessarily in those spaces where these decisions and conversations are being had.
Thank you for tuning into the Black and Green Podcast. Did you have more questions for our special guest? Please leave your questions in the comment section. Also, check us out at BLK+GRN.com. Please subscribe and comment. We love hearing from you. Until next time, buy Black and live green.